Hello, dear students. I'm Reena S. Kumar and I welcome you all in our English class. I hope you all are doing good. Please take care of yourself because day by day the situation is becoming worse due to coronavirus. So please stay home and be safe and study at home. So, children, today we are going to study the third chapter of our English reader book, and the name of the lesson is Homesickness, which is written by Roald Dahl. So, first we will going to learn about the author. Who is the author? Roald Dahl. And he was a British writer of short stories, novels and poems. He wrote about his boyhood years and early career in Boy and Going Solo. Some of his most popular books are Matilda, Fantastic Mr. Fox, and Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. So this chapter is an extract from Boy Tales of Childhood. And the author is narrating his childhood tale when he was 9 years old and he was studying in a boarding school. So children, the title of the story is Homesickness, and the story is about the author's life. So, what do you mean by homesickness? First of all, you must know what is homesickness. Homesickness means when a person is missing his or her home, when he or she is staying far away from his home. Especially you must have seen the children who are studying in the boarding school. So they miss their home very much. And many people who are working far from their home, they also miss their home. So this story is about the author's life, and he is describing when he was a small boy. He was 9 years old and he was studying in a hostel at St. Peter's School. So he was missing his home very much, and let's see what happens in the story. So in the first paragraph, the author says, I was homesick during the whole of my first term at St. Peter. As I told you before, when he was studying in the St. Peter's School, he was missing his home very much. And he is comparing homesickness to seasickness. Now, what is seasickness? Seasickness is a feeling when you feel vomiting whenever you are traveling by ship, by waterways in the ship, and because of the constant movement of the ship, some people feel seasickness. They feel like vomiting. So, he's comparing this homesickness to seasickness, and he's saying the person is struggling a lot in this disease. It is very awful, very strange. So, and it hits you right in the top of the stomach. You feel something is hitting in your stomach right upside, okay, and you want to die. The only comfort of that both homesickness and seasickness are instantly curable. Instantly means quickly. How these diseases can be cured? When the person goes back to his or her home, and if the person who is traveling by ship in the port, when he gets back to the port, the seasickness is cured, and when the person gets back to home, he is cured. This disease is cured. He feels nice after getting back to his home. So this boy, when he was 9 years old, he was staying in the boarding school. He was missing his school. He was struggling a lot. He was not feeling nice. He wanted to go back to his home. And in the second paragraph, he says, I was so terribly homesick during my first 2 weeks when he was staying in the hostel, in the boarding school. He was missing his home. 2 weeks were very terrible, that I set about making a plan. And then he started making a plan to get back to his home. And even if it were only a few days, he had spent only few days in the hostel, and now he wanted to go back to his school, and he was making a plan. He was playing a trick in his mind to get back to his home. And his idea was that all of a sudden develop an attack of acute appendicitis. What is appendicitis? Means it is an organ in our body, and whenever it affects, it gives us pain. So he thought he would try this plan to go back to his home, that he is sick and he wants to go back to home. In the third paragraph, The author says, "You will probably think it is silly that a 9-year-old boy imagined." Now he's saying the people must be wondering that a small 9-year-old boy can imagine such kind of trick to go back to home. But only he knew, because he was planning in his mind that he will act that as if he is sick and he's having too much pain because of appendix and he wants to go back to home. And how did this idea came to in his mind? Because only a month before, his elder sister had appendicitis, and for several days before her operation, she was having too much pain in her stomach. So the author, this boy, was observing her sister very frequently. He was observing her sister, what all problems she is having. And the author says, "I noticed that the thing she complained about most was a severe pain, that she is having a very severe pain down in the lower right side of her tummy, in her stomach. As well as this, she kept being sick. Because of this problem, his sister was very sick, and she refused to eat, and she was having a high temperature also. So all these symptoms the boy was observing in her sister, and he tried this trick on himself to go back to home." In the fourth stanza, the author says, "You might, by the way, be interesting to know that this sister had her appendix removed, not in a fine hospital." Now the author is describing the situation when her sister was suffering from this problem, this appendix problem. That appendix was removed not in the hospital but in their home only, in their house only. And the doctors came. Who was the doctor? The anesthetist also came to their home, and they operated her on a simple table in their home only. So it was a very surprising thing. In those days, it was fairly common practice for a doctor. In those days, it was a very common thing, and doctor used to come to your home with a bag of all the instruments, and they drap a clean sheet over the simple clean table, and they did the operation. On this occasion, I can remember lurking in the corridor, means he was watching from the corridor. The boy and his brother sisters were watching all this from the corridor and the nursery while the operation was going on of his sister. My other sisters were with me. Now the author is saying his other two sisters were also looking from the corridor how the operation was going on, and we stood there spellbound listening to the voices. So now the author, this boy and his sisters were watching, they were observing how the operation was going on. They were listening to the sounds that were coming from behind the locked door, and they were trying to look how the operation was going on of their sister. And the smell of different kinds of gas and chemicals was also coming from that room. So the boy is describing about the operation that was going on in their home of his sister, and this situation was giving him an idea to how he can skip from the hostel and go back to his home. Now, in the next paragraph, the author says, "The next day we were allowed to inspect the appendix, and now when the operation was over, the next day these children were looking at the appendix, how the appendix looks like. It is an organ. Okay, so it is like a longish black wormy looking thing." And the author says, "I said, 'Do I have one of those inside me, Nanny?'" And now this boy is asking to his grandmother. Nanny is his grandmother, and he's asking to his grandmother, do I have also this appendix in my stomach? So his grandmother, his nanny, answered, "Yes, everyone has. Everybody has one," Nanny answered. "And what's for?" I asked her. And yes, for what reason is that appendix inside? She said, "It is a part of your body, and God works in his mysterious way. Only God knows why is that part in your body." And she did not know the answer. What makes it go bad? And then he asked why it was paining, what was the problem of appendix. So Granny said, tooth bristles. She told him about the tooth bristles. You must have used your brushes while brushing your teeth. You must have seen your brush, and there are bristles, small, small wires on that tooth. So she said, this time with no hesitation at all, means she was not hesitating, and she told him that the tooth bristles, whenever they go in your stomach, if they are loose in your brush and they go comes out of your brush and go, you swallow it, they goes inside your stomach, they stick to the appendix, that organ, and then it turns it rotten, वो उसको खराब कर देता है. And how she knew this? Because in the war she went there and she saw the German spies, the spies, jasus. So the German spies used secretly these loose bristled toothbrush into the shops, and because of that million soldiers got appendicitis. And now here the boy is comparing her grandmother, more wiser than King Solomon. Solomon was an ancient king who was known for his wisdom. So he's thinking his granny is more wiser than King Solomon because she knows so many things. So she's saying, the granny is saying, the nanny is saying to the boy that these bristles, if they go into your stomach, they go and stick to the appendix and they rot the appendix, and that is why the pain occurs. Honestly, Nanny, I cried. Is that honestly true? Now he was confirming, is that true? So his granny said, yes, I never lie. I never say a lie. मैं कभी झूठ नहीं बोलती. She answered. So let that be a lesson to you, never to use an old toothbrush. And because of this, she was giving a lesson to the boy that you should never use an old toothbrush so that the bristles can't go into your stomach. You should use a new toothbrush. And for years after that, I used to get nervous whenever, and now this boy says, so I was so much warned, I was so much alert that years after also he remembered this thing to use a good toothbrush. As I went upstairs and knocked on the brown door after breakfast, I did not even feel frightened of the matron. Now he's coming back to the story when he's in the hostel. The boy is in the hostel and he was remembering the situation. So now he was thinking, he's going upstairs and he after his breakfast, and he was frightened of the matron. Now who is a matron? Matron is in charge of the students over there, who knows, she has medical knowledge and she's looking after the children. So come in, boomed the voice, and he went to the matron. Now the boy is saying, I entered the room clutching my stomach. Now he's pretending to be sick. He's pretending, he's acting that as if he's having pain in his stomach, and he's clutching. Clutching means holding tightly, and he's clutching his stomach on the right hand side and staggering pathetically, very uncomfortably. He went to the matron complaining that he's having pain in his stomach. What's the matter with you? The matron shouted. And then angrily the matron shouted, what happened to you? It hurts, matron. Now he's complaining with a low sound. He's as if he's having too much pain, and he's complaining that I'm having pain in my stomach and it hurts so much. My stomach is paining very badly. And when this boy was crying and pretending that he was sick, he's having pain in his stomach, the matron angrily said, you've been overeating. You have you are doing overeating. The whole day you must be eating something. And what do you expect if you gobble cake all day? She said that you must be eating the cake all day long. So the boy said, I haven't eaten a thing for days. I couldn't eat, matron. He said, I have not eaten because my stomach was paining since morning. So, I simply couldn't. I couldn't eat, matron. Get on the bed, she ordered. Then she ordered him to lie on the bed and she will examine him. And the boy lay on the bed and she began prodding. Prodding means she was poking or pushing with a pointed object in his stomach. She was examining his stomach with her fingers and she was pressing his stomach. I was watching her carefully. The boy was watching the matron carefully, and when she hit what I guessed, and when she was pressing his stomach, she thought it might be appendix place. So when she was touching the appendix place, the boy cried out. I let out a cry that rattled the window panes. Means the window panes were crumbling, and he shouted, "Oh, oh!" I cried out. Who was crying? The boy was crying. He was pretending that it is paining whenever she was touching on the right side of his stomach. Don't, matron, don't. Now the boy was acting and saying, "Don't touch, ma'am. Matron, please don't touch." Then I slept in the clincher. I've been sick all morning. And then he said, "I am sick since morning," and he cried that I'm having pain and I still feel sick. This was the right move. Now he got the idea. It might work now. The matron was believing him. I saw her hesitate. She was hesitating. वो हिचकिचा रही थी. "Stay where you are," she said, and walked quickly from the room. And then she ordered the boy to stay on his place, and she quickly went out of the room. What she did? She had a nurse training, so she could not pretend much, and she did not want a ruptured appendix. Ruptured means a burst out. If the appendix would come out, she did not want it in her hands to get a ruptured appendix. Okay. Within an hour, she called a doctor, and the doctor arrived, and he went through the same prodding. The doctor was also examining in the same way. He was prodding and poking, pressing his stomach, trying to examine what was actually happening in his stomach. And I did, and he continued crying and shouting as if he was in too much pain at what I thought were the proper times. Then he put a thermometer. The doctor put a thermometer in his mouth. So when the doctor took the temperature of the boy, it was normal. So he said, "It is normal, but let me feel your stomach once more." Again, he wanted to see the stomach of the boy, and so the boy was pretending and making sounds, "Ooh, ouch," and he was screaming. Screaming means shouting as if he was in very much pain. So the doctor went away with the matron, and like the matron, he must have felt it safer to send me home. Now the boy is thinking that the matron and the doctor are discussing what to do. So the doctor advised the matron to send this boy back to his home because for the operation in the school was not safe. So he advised the matron to send him back to his home. The matron returned half an hour later and said, "The headmaster had telephoned your mother. She told the boy that your mother is coming to take you back to your home." And I didn't answer her. The boy was quietly lying on the bed, and he was happy. From inside he was very much happy, but outside he was pretending as if he is very much sick. So, but my heart was singing out. Now he's saying, I was feeling very much happy from inside. My heart was singing out with all sorts of wonderful songs of praise and joy. He was very happy, but he was not pretending. From outside, he was pretending as if he's very, very sick. And I was taken home across the Bristol Channel, and then he was going back, and I felt so wonderful, so happy at being away from the school. Now he's going back from the school to his home, and that I was nearly forgot I was meant to be ill, and then he forgot that he was ill, he's having any sickness. And that afternoon I had a session with Dr. Dunbar in Cardiff, and after getting back to his home, his mother would have taken advice of another doctor, Dr. Dunbar in Cardiff, and he had a session. He was also examining the boy, and the boy says, "I tried the same trick." Now same thing he was doing with another doctor all over again. But Dr. Dunbar was far wiser, was much wiser than the doctor before he met, and more skillful. He was more talented than either the matron or the school doctor. After he had prodded my stomach, I had done my yelping routine. When the doctor was touching his stomach, he was saying, doing the same thing. "Now you can get dressed again." And when he examined the boy, after that he told him to get back on the chair and sit down. Now he himself, the doctor himself, sat down behind his desk and fixed me with a penetrating means with a sharp eyes. He was looking at the boy, and he found what was a mistake. He said, "You're faking, aren't you? You are telling lies." So the boy told, "How do you know?" I blunted out. Means he was surprised. How did the doctor knew? Because I was pretending I'm sick and I'm having pain in the stomach. But the doctor knew that he is telling lies. The doctor told him, "Because your stomach is soft and perfectly normal," he answered. If you had an inflammation, means any infection down there, the stomach would have been very hard and rigid. It's quite easy to tell, the doctor said. If you must be having any kind of infection, your stomach would have been very hard, but your stomach is very soft and you are telling lies. The boy was very silent. I expect you are homesick. The doctor knew that you wanted to come back to home, so you're feeling homesick, he said. And the boy nodded miserably. Nodded means shook his head. Everyone is at first, he said it happens with everyone. Whenever a person goes out or far from his home, he feels the same thing. So it happens with everyone. You have to stick it out. And don't blame your mother for sending you away to boarding school, he said. You don't blame this for to your mother that she has sent you to the boarding school. She insisted you were too young. Your mother was telling that you are very small, very young to go to the boarding school. But it was the doctor who persuaded her in the right thing, that he wanted him to go to the boarding school. And he should know that life is tough, and the sooner you will learn how to live better in the life. Now the boy said, "What will you tell the school?" And he was trembling with fear. The boy was shaking, trembling with fear, and asking the doctor, "What will you tell the school? Because I was acting over there, and now you have recognized what is my problem." So the doctor said, "I'll say you had a severe infection of the stomach, which I'm curing with pills." Means he's giving medicines and he's having severe infection in the stomach, and he'll be cured within 2 or 3 days. It will mean that you must stay home for 3 more days and you can go back to your hostel in your school. But promise me you won't try anything like this again. He took a promise from the boy. The doctor took the promise from the boy that he will not tell lies, he will not try any kind of trick to get back to his home. Your mother has enough on her hands without having to rush over to fetch you out of school. He said that your mother has too much work, so she can't come back again and again to your school to take you back to home. So the boy said, "I promise," I said, "I'll never do it again." So he promised the doctor that he will not repeat this mistake again, and he will act like a good boy. He will behave in a good manner. So this was your story. I hope you must have understood. Thank you.